I posted probably once Zoom. Reason I got this right here on is because I'm in an environment where we got other people around me, so I had to wear this mask. All right, so what I'll do is I'll take this recording, and once it's available for me, I'll take it and I'll post it so that you guys could go back to it. But what we're gonna be discussing today, and remember that the name of this course is building construction tools and materials. So we're gonna start off with the tools, and then we're gonna start talking about different materials and products. And we can go from the outside to the inside and the product above and then below. So we'll talk about those things. So let's start out with tools. I'm gonna go ahead and take you guys screen. So I'm gonna share you guys screen just for a second. Give me just a second. Let me just let me open this up first, and then I'm gonna just a second. It's gonna take me just a second to kind of have all this stuff figured out. All right, I'm gonna share. I think I shared this right here. We'll do it like this. Okay. So you guys should see this presentation here, and I think anybody else trying to get in. Looks like somebody else is trying to. Give me just a second. I want to make sure I'm. All right, got one more person I got to add here. Brant. I like to just try to mark people here while they come in. We got Dominique. Add that person too. All right. You guys just coming in, go ahead and put your mics on. I'm gonna try to mute you, but go ahead and put your mics on mute when you guys coming in. Um, so what you guys should be seeing right now is this is NCCER. Now, let me tell you something about NCCER. This is the same criteria that's going to be used if you guys wanted to go and take the builder's license. If you want to go get a residential home builder's license, this is the exact same material that you guys are going to see. Okay. So you'll see the exact same material. I don't know what this thing is doing. Come on, buddy. Let me admit one more. They're coming in. And yes, this class does start at 11:30. It's 11:30 to 2. We may not get all the way to 2 today. I have 2 presentations that I want to show you guys today, and those presentations are going to be on tools. Okay. So we're going to start off. We're going to start off with, if I can get this thing to act right. Come on, let me see, slideshow, and we're going to play. And hopefully you guys can see. Hold on just a second, guys. Let me all right. I apologize for that. All right, what we're looking at here is these are NCCER standards. And like I said, NCCER is an industry standard. And it's actually a standard for, if you guys go take the residential home builders test, or even if you take the general contractors test for commercial, it's going to be the same exact material, the exact same materials. And it's kind of is a national standard um, um, for you guys if you guys want to go deeper into construction. Once again, I can say that um, I have all these degrees. I have a degree in mathematics. I have a degree in math education, as well as I teach a few math courses here at Lawson as well. But I'll be honest with you guys. As I build houses too. Now my son actually kind of runs the show while I'm not around. But just learning how to build houses myself, this is a great industry to be in right now. I mean, you guys will never go. I mean, even with all the COVID stuff that's going on, you guys would never go without job a job, because here's the thing, guys. I've actually picked up more build jobs um, while the COVID is out, especially in residential side, because what's happening now is that people want to live more at home, or they're starting to be more concentrated at home than they are at these commercial sites or at these job sites. So now they're having to, everything that you want today is going to have to be centralized at home. So people are building bigger houses, and that's what I'm starting to see. I'm starting to see people, building much bigger homes. As a matter of fact, we just got finished with one, and I just kind of take you guys through a little slideshow of some of the stuff that we just finished with. But they're building much bigger houses because those houses need to be able to accommodate all the things that they normally used to go out and do. And so, like I said, even if you didn't go in the building and you went into something like HVAC, electrical, or plumbing, things of those nature, things of those, things to that degree, where you have to have license. Those are licensed trades. Those guys have not stopped. As a matter of fact, their industry has picked up. So I think what's happening is there's a movement from these traditional, um, as I would say, office jobs to actually jobs where people are actually working and actually putting their hands on and touching things. So we're going to start off in discussing tools. So once again, this right here is the NCCER, and this is actually module 3, and I think the module is consistent across the board on NCCER. Let me just make sure. All right. Um, First thing we're going to talk about hand tools, and I think I got 2 presentations on hand tools, and then we'll get into power tools. And I don't know if power tools is next, but I think we got 2 presentations on hand tools. And these are some of the objectives that we're going to get um, in regards to hand tools. We're going to be able to identify and explain various types of hammers and demolition tools, various types of chisels and punches, and then you got screwdrivers, and then you also have non-adjustable and adjustable wrenches. So these are some of these things you may not see on a construction site. You most definitely going to be dealing with hammers and things of that nature. But when you try to speed up the pace, you get into pneumatics and things of that nature, where it's air driven, and then sometimes you have powder actuated tools as well. We should be able to also identify and explain how to use various types. Now, um, there is a performance side of this right here too. And some of you guys who are in my other classes, you will be doing some of the performance items when we meet in class. Okay, and that'll be in the next week or so. Okay. Um, you got pliers and wire cutters. We'll be able to identify and use those. And then one of the biggest things is going to be your rulers, your rules and measuring tools, and also your leveling, things of that nature. All right. And these are some of the performances that you guys need to be able to identify and know. Hammer or demolition tool, chisels or punches and screwdrivers, adjustable wrenches. And some of these things you guys will probably already know how to use. Socket, torque wrench, pliers, wire cutters, measuring tools, layout tools, and levels. Okay. And these are some of the safety performance as well. Um, so, all right, let's start off with the claw hammer. Now, you guys probably seen this right here a lot, and this right here is probably not a tool that you guys have not seen. And if you notice that you have a part on the back of it, which it's called a claw, and that's normally used to snatch out nails. Say, for instance, if you put a nail in something and you want to snatch a nail out, that's what you use it for. Then you have the cheek, you have the head, and the face. The face is actually what you hit the nail with. And then you're gonna have the handle. Now, I've noticed a lot of people when they grab that hammer, they grab it at the neck, which is the yellow part of this hammer right here. So they grab it at the neck. That's not where you want to grab. You can't get a lot of leverage there. You got to get used to grabbing by the handle part. All right, it says hold the hammer with the end of the handle even with the lower edge of your palm, and then you keep your eye on the nail. I always like to use my thumb to kind of guide it. Once I get it started, I can go ahead and just grab it with my whole hand without having to use my thumb to try to guide it. You have another hammer. This right here is a ball peen hammer. All right. Ball peens, hammers should not be used to hammer a nail. Okay. You got a little rounded face right here. Since the steel is tough but not as hard, so you're not going to use like your conventional framing hammer. A lot of times you're going to use that to kind of knock things in place. The ball peen, like you may have some crown molding, etc. But you got to kind of tap in place, and you don't want to damage it, so you use the round face. Okay. Now, sure you guys have seen these right here. This is your sledgehammers. All right. Sledgehammers are heavy. These are going to be really heavy. And here's the thing. You can also have a sledgehammer. I got one sledgehammer that you can hold in your hand. It doesn't have to be the big giant sledgehammer that you hold with two hands, like the one at the top here. You can have a sledgehammer that, like the one in the middle, and you can use this to typically use these right here to demolition things, to knock things apart. Or even if you got I think my wife used to like to use them to drive her real estate signs in the ground. Problem with that is they actually make a hammer for that. It looks like a sledgehammer, but it has a wooden head on it because some women are real estate agents. They just picking up that big heavy sledgehammer is a lot of work. You want to start with a lighter blows until you achieve a rhythm. So you don't want to just whatever you hit. Say for instance, if you're driving a stake in the ground, which is mainly what these are used for, you don't want to give it your all-out swing first. You want to just kind of tap it in the ground first, and then you want to give it. Once you get a good rhythm going, then you can go ahead and hit it hard. You also have right down here. You have a double face. The middle one is a double face short handle. And the top one is a double face long handle. And then this right here is the one at the bottom is called the cross peen. Okay, you can use that head, that little sharp edge, to hit things or get in areas where when the face is round, you can't get into those particular spaces. And these are your chisels, guys. This is a nice little tool to have, especially if you guys are doing trim carpentry or you putting doorknobs on, something like that. Chisels are good. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys ever looked at the strike plate. Where you close a door, you have what they call a strike plate. It's where the door latch connects to the jamb. Sometimes those things need to be chiseled out or re-chiseled. So you have your cold chisels are designed for working with metal, okay, which is the ones on the left, and then you have the wood chisels are the ones on the right, okay, and they got like a little angle at it. If you look at the angle here, you see the angle on it. The wood chisels are designated to be taped with a mallet. So on the end of those, if you look at the back side of that chisel, I don't know if we have another picture of it, it's smooth. And it's used so that you can take a hammer and hit it. All right. Unlike the cold chisels. All right. But others are designed only for use by hand. And here's the thing right here, these wood chisels, you can also grip them too, because sometimes you may have to just push. You may have to push to make, to actually put indentations in the wood. All right. Now these right here, these are not, we still on the chisels and punch. The chisels and punch, but these are what you call punches. Sometimes you have to, like if I drive a nail in with a hammer, sometimes I need to countersink that nail. And the way I countersink those nails is by using go ahead, Dominique.
How do you use the cold chisels?
Dominique, go ahead.
Are the cold chisels, you place them in a drill and use them with a drill? Since you can't tap on the back of them with a hammer?
Yeah. Yeah, you got you actually have a device that's used to stick them in there. Let me just see, can I go back? Yeah, you can actually now, you can hit the back of these too. So sometimes you're working with metals, you can actually get a hammer, sledgehammer, and hit the back of them as well. And then they also have devices which you stick them inside, like a device that you can stick it in there. It's like a reciprocating saw. Have you ever seen those? And you put them in there, and you can jackhammer stuff out. Kind of use it like a jackhammer. So they can be used as well. But like I said, you can also use these right here with a hammer and use that. But they mainly working for metal. Typically, we won't be working with these right here, cold chisels, only because we're going to work a lot with wood. In residential construction, for the most part, you work a lot with wood. Now, when you get into commercial, you work a lot with metal, but the kind of metal that you'll be working with in commercial, you won't use any cold chisels. Okay. Did that help you with your question, Dominique?
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to figure, and I'm glad you raised your hand because I'm trying to learn how to navigate through this stuff right here on the online. Let me just see. All right, now the punches, like I said, sometimes you got to countersink things, and so this is when you're gonna use your punches. So you got your center punch, prick punch, and taper punches, and it just depends on what you got at the end of that thing, or the head of what you're using. Like if it's a little old bitty nail, sometimes if you ever notice that a finished nail has a small head on it, and then the head has an indentation, so you can sink this right here, punch in it, and push it in a little bit further. All right, let me go back. So you have the center and prick punches have different tips and angles. All right, let's look at these right here. So I'm sure you guys have seen screwdrivers. I'm sure you guys have seen the Phillips. This is probably the most common ones. It's going to be your Phillips, and then you also have the slotted, which you guys call the flathead. All right. You also have the Allen, and then here's the one that's the square one. We don't see these too much. These are called the Robertson. And then sometime in a bathroom where you may have something in a bathroom that they don't want anybody taking loose, like one of the doors or something like that. So they use something really kind of weird. They call it the clutch drive. You may see something like that. And then you have the torque um, head on it. All right. Now, make sure that when you're using these guys, a slotted screwdriver that does not fit the screw head is likely to result in the damage to the screw and possibly to the workpiece as well. Now, make sure, like if you look at these right here, that screwdriver should hit that screw head really, really well. It should fit just right. It doesn't need to be too small. It doesn't need to be too big. It needs to fit it just right. Because here's the thing that, okay, let me just, this hand raised thing is, I guess I'll leave it alone. If it's too small, you may damage the screw head itself. If it's too big, you can damage the head, but you can also hurt yourself too. If you push down on that thing, if it slips, it could hit you. So you want to make sure it's just right, and you want to make sure it fits right in there. Don't try to use one that's too small or over on the too thin or too thick. Like I said, if it's too thick, you're gonna damage the head of that screw, and then now you done messed up the screw now. So now you gotta get another screw. And like I said, if that thing slips off, or like if it's too thin and it slips, and you putting pressure on that screwdriver, you can actually slip and hit yourself, and that's what you don't want. All right. All right. We also have oops, sorry about this, guy. I'm trying to plug up my computer again. We also have non-adjustable wrenches. All right. If you look right here, you got the open end. I'm sure you guys have probably seen this right here. This and these are mainly used for cars. Like if I'm working on a car, I may have a non-adjustable wrench. And then you have the open end, and then you also have the box end wrench. All right. Give me just a second, guys. I got to take care of something real quick. Like. I apologize, guys. I had to take my teeth out. I may be eating on some of it right quick. Like. Oh, let me make sure I'm still on. Okay, I got the mute off. Good. All right, right here we have the open end wrenches. And then we also have the closed end, the box end wrench. Now this right here is this is a ratcheting kind, and these are better used when you're in like a little tight space and you just need just enough space to turn. This is when you want to use your ratchet. And then sometimes you have a combination where you have both of them at the same time. Okay. Um, Now I tell you where we mainly use these right here is when we have to do there are what they call 1/2 inch anchor bolts that go into the foundation of a house. And I kind of go through that in a slide that I have. There are some foundation anchor bolts that we have to use in order we take these wrenches and we use that to tighten those bolts up. Okay. Questions so far? Questions, anybody? Brianna, Richard, anybody got questions?
No.
All right. All right, good. Okay. All right, now these are adjustable wrenches. Now you mainly gonna see these with plumbers. All right. So you have your spud wrenches are very handy if you're often working with a large valve cap. So plumbers are usually mainly working with this right here. Now I'll be putting a spin more on a builder. I'll be giving a builder spin more so than on the plumbing side. But a builder is gonna rarely use these right here. Okay. You have the smooth jaws. That's going to be your spud wrench, and then you have your adjustable wrench. Now, I do use a lot of adjustable wrenches, especially when I'm tightening up anchor bolts as well. I've ended up having to use that as to tighten up the anchor bolts on the house. Um, then you have your socket wrenches, and like I said, this is sockets and ratchets drives are very popular due to their versatilities and speed. So you can get in small spaces, and that's why you mostly see a lot of mechanics using these right here. Okay. Now, we got what you call this. These are torque wrenches. Now, and the reason I'm using this right here, I'm still talking about cars and auto mechanics because, like, now typically in construction, in a lot of cases, like when you're dealing with wood, a lot of time I try to tighten things up really, really tight, as tight as I can possibly turn it. When you're dealing with a car, something of that nature, you can't do that. If you tighten it up too tight, it doesn't work. It doesn't function properly. Okay. So then you have what they call torque. That's where the torque wrenches come in. You can set the amount of torque or how tight you can tighten some up. That's when you want to use a torque. So torque wrenches allow the user to apply a specific amount of twisting power to the hardware. All right. Some digital models can also be setting in torque events in memory. So looks like right here you got a digital one. Okay. Um, Now these are pliers. And that's going to be something common that we see. I always try to always have a set of all of these right here on my job site, with maybe the exception of this locking plier. All right, but for the most part, I'm gonna have a set of wire cutters, pivot. We call these needle nose um, pliers, and then you have your slip and joint. Now, this is probably the common one that you guys will probably see on a lot of job sites, even in your house, is the slip. Now, you can adjust this to make it big or make it small. All right. And then this one at the bottom says that the tongue and groove. This is another one that you see a lot of plumbers are going to be using. So plumbers, they love to use this one right here as well. So um, I keep a set of these right here in my car too, as well. Okay. Now, when you deal with the wire cutters, you got to understand that you're also going to use this right here. Hold on a second. Give me just a second. I got to. I'm sorry, man. We were discussing I guess they got the new president. I don't know if the president, the inauguration coming up. Uh, they was kind of discussing that. All right, but now let me see the slip and joint. This is the one you're gonna see most of the time. But like I said, plumbers are gonna use this right now. This is like a slipping. This tongue and groove. It's like a slipping joint, but it slips really really far, so you can grab things that's really really big, like pipes. Okay. All right, now you're not going to go. You shouldn't go anywhere without a tape measure. Okay. Anytime you go on a job site, always have your tape measure clipped to you. My only biggest problem with my tape measure is always forget and leave it at the site. So if you buy, I try not to buy them and spend too much money on a real good tape measure, because I mean, if you get a real good one, you're probably gonna leave it somewhere if you ain't paying attention. Especially you get on a job site, you be focused on what you're doing. You can forget really, really quick. But tape measures or measuring tapes are great for measuring for a range of length. Now, typically, I use what they call the Fat Max. And the Fat Max, when you pull this tape out, it's really long, so you can measure, so you can kind of just push it out, and you can probably go about 7 feet without it collapsing. All right. You also have your folding rules are usually 6 feet or 2 meters long and remain rigid. So now if you lay in bricks or something like that, in a situation where you have to measure horizontal distance instead of vertical, or even if you're going vertical, well, here's the thing, though, if you're going vertical, this is the one you want to use. You want to use this folding one. So you can measure vertical. And I see most of the time my brick mason is going to have those. Guys that are laying bricks, they're going to be using this right here. Um, Level use. So now there are two different things you can test on leveling. Now, if you got a level, you know that level. If you guys ever seen a level, this guy has a level that looks like a 3-foot level in his hand, or a 2-foot level. That bubble needs to be right in the middle, which means that if you got it horizontal, that means it's horizontal. It's perfectly horizontal. That bubble is right in the middle. If you put it up straight up and down, that's not level. That's called plumb. If you want to make sure a wall is straight up and down, perfectly perpendicular to the ground, that means you checking for plumb. You guys need to understand the difference between those two. Okay. Um, these are, in a lot of cases, these right here are called squares. Now, I like to walk around with what they call the quick square. And the quick square is a little small triangle that we use. It's just a little small triangle. And, and it's used so that I can make good straight cuts on the lumber like this guy's doing right here. So he's going to draw his, he want to make his cut. He's going to draw his line. He's going to make his cut. So you have a right angle on each one of these little corners right here. So this right here, now this is a pipe fitted square. Sounds more like a plumber be using this. Looks like a carpenter square from a distance, but the table and formulas marked on it are different. They are best for large stock and checking framing. Okay, and these right here are called the combination squares. The combination square can mark 90 degrees. It marks 90-degree angles, and you see right here we're making this 90-degree angle. Now you can also get what they call the quick square, can be used to make the 90-degree angle as well. But now the good thing about the combination square is that you can also cut this in half and make a 45-degree angle. All right, somebody go ahead and ask a question. I think somebody. Dominique, does somebody have a question? Does somebody tell
No,
me
I
good
don't.
morning? Oh, okay. I don't know. This thing right here is doing, I'm getting used to this Zoom. So I apologize, guys, if you know, something happened to I get kind of thrown off a little bit. So let me okay. But this is these squares are also used. Let me just show it to you right here. They can be used to make 45-degree angles as well. Perfectly 45 degrees. Okay. Um, it is limited somewhat by its size and design. Okay. Um, let's keep it moving here. All right, now this thing right here is like a little heavy little weight, and it hangs down on the line. Say for instance, if I'm up above and I need to find the exact point from above, where is that on the floor? I use what they call a plumb ball. It's like a little heavy weight, and what you do is you lower it down with a string, and it just goes down. So if I'm trying to, and this is specifically used for, and I'll show you a place, and all the stuff that we're talking about, I'm gonna find a place where we actually had to use these tools at one of my sites. But if you was trying to put a post somewhere and you need to know the length that post need to be, and you know where that post needs to be at the top, you can hang a plumb bob to know where it's gonna hit on the floor, and then you can measure that distance, and I give you the exact distance that you need. And I'll show you a spot um, before we leave here today. Um, Caulk lines. Now I'm sure you guys have probably seen these right here, where you pop lines. A lot of time when you start framing, especially in new construction, the first thing you want to do on that slab is you want to pop lines where the floor is going to be. And those lines, when you straighten those lines out, it's going to make them straight. All right, once this point is identified, a caulk line can be used to place a straight line between points. Okay. Okay. Me and that show. All right, I'm gonna come out of here. Let me see if I could. All right, let me see if I can show you guys a place. Let me try to take your thing again. See, can I find a place where we actually have to use some of this stuff? It's probably gonna take a while for my for this thing to pull up. Okay, I got the site. Let me see. There we go. Give me just a second, guys. I'm trying to pull it up. I don't want to. See. All right, let me just kind of take you guys through some of this stuff. We use some of these tools, and we are just. I'm gonna take your screen again. Let's see, zoom. I'm gonna take you guys' screen once more. Let me see whether. just share that. This is the excavating part. Let's let the there are no tools that needs to be used right here. Now, on a job site, let's just look at this right here. This is typically the first thing that happens on a job site. It's gonna be your footing. So we put our footings in, and we're gonna put walls on top of this right here. So you have your footings that happens first. You kind of see, and if you see kind of where this guy, if y'all see that little line that's inside of that footing, y'all see that little line that where those wires are, where those that rebar sticking out the ground. Well, if you look where it hits out of coming out the concrete, it's a little line. That line was made by popping lines. They put it on there and they popped the line to make sure they had it straight. Okay. Once again, this is the footing. This is when they started with the footing. But let's this is kind of what it looks like once the footing is actually. That's what the foundation of the foundation wall is going to sit on. The foundation of the house is going to sit on that footing. Then we're going to go to let me just see here, right here. If you guys look at this right here little part, this right here, those anchor bolts right here that comes out of this wall here, that's when we had to use our wrenches in order to tighten that thing up. Let's see. So we use our wrench in order to tighten it. All right, let me see if I got another one here. Let me see. I just wanted to kind of, if I can find an area where they was popping lines again, we'll probably get to the framing part. That'll kind of help you out a little bit. We're going to be talking about cutting items in a minute, but I was just trying to find where we actually did the, we actually went down, and it's kind of taking this thing so long to, I thought I took some pictures of it. I guess not. Where those things at? I thought I took a couple of pictures of the anchor bolts. That's what I wanted to show you guys. I don't know if I can make it big enough here. But you can see where those anchor bolts, where that bolt right there. Let me see if I can blow it up. Yeah. Yeah, you can see that. This is where you use those wrenches, those torque. Well, not torque, because you want to tighten. I try to tighten those up as much as I can. This is where you want to use that wrench in order to tighten that up. Okay. All right, are there any questions so far? Anybody got any questions on anything?
No, sir.
All right. Let's go through this. Let's go through this last. I got one more, and what I'm gonna do is, guys, I'm gonna put another. I actually, and I go through it before we get finished, but I'm gonna put these lectures and I'm gonna put these presentations, these PowerPoint presentations, on your assignment board where you guys can access them and look at them. And I'm also gonna put, we may have a couple of quizzes and things of that nature that you guys are gonna need to do as well. And I got to figure out a way for you guys to send that to me so I can grade them. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
I was about to ask about.
let me
I was about to ask about posting things when the class is over with online. If we'll be able to go back and watch the lecture again if we have any questions.
Yeah, no, you'll be able to go back and watch the lecture again, because right now I'm actually recording this right here, and
Yes,
I
sir.
will go back and I'm Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. No, I was just that's what I was asking. I'm about to have to go. I'm about to like leave. Something came up, and I was wondering if I can go back and just watch this lecture.
Yeah, I'll put the lecture online.
Yes, sir.
You know, everything. I'm gonna try to put as much as I can online. So you guys, I don't, I want everybody. The name of the game is you guys learn this stuff.
Yes,
You
sir.
guys
Thank
know
you.
this stuff. That's the key. Okay. All right. So let's keep this thing moving. I got one more presentation to show you guys. Don't fix to take your screen once more. Jeez. Let's see. Let me pull it up first. All right, there we go. I think I could come out of that one. I'm gonna do this right here. There we go. So am I still? Let me take you guys' screen once more. Share. And I think I'm gonna share this one. All right, hopefully you guys can see this right here. Okay. And this is going to be this looks like module 3. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and slideshow. We're going to go ahead and start this one. All right. So and we're going to be dealing with, we're still talking about hand tools. And this is number 2. And, you guys can go through this right here and we can go through some of the objectives. Let me see, some of the things that we're going to be dealing with is shovels, chain fall. Some of this stuff is still dealing with, auto mechanic stuff, but, you can also use it in some cases in construction. You got handsaw, file, utility knife, shovel, clamps. These are some of the things we're going to be dealing with. All right, so let's start off with the saws, guys. We have the the back saw. Now the back saw, you're going to use that in unison with what they call a miter box. So if I'm doing trim carpentry and I'm cutting crown molding, I'm gonna use this back saw here. Okay. This keyhole saw, a lot of time, if you got to get in small places and make a little small hole, you're gonna use that one. And then the coping saw is when if you got to make real small cuts, real fine tune cuts, you're gonna use the coping saw. In a lot of cases, we use that in crown molding as well. Now, here's you got your drywall saw, and you got your regular handsaw. Okay, handsaw is a little different than the back saw. Handsaw is going to be used to cut things like 2x4. And also, we have a hacksaw, and a hacksaw is going to be typically used to cut metal. So if I'm trying to cut a pipe or something like that, I'm probably going to use a hacksaw. All right, cross-cutting lumber using a handsaw. First thing you want to do is you want to find out what you're going to cut. You got to secure it. A lot of times we secure it with clamps, okay? Then you're going to place the teeth on it, and I usually pull it back at a 45-degree angle, and then I get it started, and then I start sawing. And this is some of the stuff that's going to be, we're actually going to demonstrate some of this right here when you guys come to shop. Out this slight kerf, which is like a little cut in there, formed by drawing the saw back. All right, this requires more force when you push it. Then you're gonna continue to saw, and then usually you're gonna make your cut. Okay. These are what you call files, and the files have they're different types of files. After slight curve, formed by drawing the saw back. This is talking about saw, but we're back on saws. We're back on files. You have the wood stock international, and then you have the you can also look at the different parts of the file. You got the heel, the belly, and the point. You got the length of the file. You got your handle. And typically, a lot of times, files are used to sharpen things. Okay, that's or to fine tune something, or to make it smooth. Now, in construction, we're probably going to be using sanders to make things smooth. Okay, And these are some of the file textures you're gonna have. You guys can go through and look at those um, different textures you're gonna have on the file itself. Um, you got the rasp cut files. Metal should be used on wood only. All right, the rasp may also be made from a softer metal that is not hard enough to effectively cut metal. Okay, and this kind of gives you the uses of some of those files. You got your single cut file, rasp cut file. Um, Gives you the description of each one of them and the uses of each one of them. All right. You also have the double cut file. Okay, and it gives the uses of them as well. But the main one we're going to be using is one that's used to cut. Will probably be that rasp cut. Okay, let's just see if we had one up here that I don't see a rasp. Where's that rasp cut? I don't see a rasp cut. I had to go online and see can I pull up a rasp cut one. So you guys can actually have a picture of it. You can have it in your mind. Now these little things right here can be really, really dangerous, guys. So you got to be careful. I keep about 3 or 4 of them in my car. And usually I got a little tool kit that I have in my car. And I kind of have each one of these items in there just in case I have to do some stuff on one of my job sites. But these utility knives, you have the self-retracting one, you have the folding knife, and you have the carpet knife. That carpet knife is the one that you can really do some damage to yourself. So, you know, it got a blade on both sides, and you know, if you ain't paying attention, it don't take but a second to cut your finger real good. Utility knives have a high rate of injury, and I can imagine too. Matter of fact, whose finger was that? My thumb right here. This thumb. It's actually this thumb. It's my right thumb. I cut this thing all the way to the bone about 3 months ago. All the way to the bone. Because I had a utility knife in my bag and I was reaching in my bag to get it out, and the blade was wide open. Give me just a second, guys. It is Emmett.
Hey, Emmett, this is Tammy with Wise Environmental.
Uh-huh.
I hate to bother you, but I need to get some clarification on the location of that roll-off that we're going to do an exchange on.
Yeah.
The address I have is 8032 Eagle Crest Lane, Birmingham.
Uh-huh.
But my driver is telling me it's not at that address. That
Well,
the address doesn't take you to the right spot.
Well, you guys dropped it off. They dropped it off at, I mean, here's what he needs to do. He needs to go to 119, Highway 119. Where you guys coming from?
What?
Where's he coming from? Is he coming?
Well, we're in Oxford, but I mean, he's over there in that area now, but
Okay. Is he coming from?
it's by some school.
Okay, and that's where you want to be. It's called Briarwood. If he's passing by Briarwood, he's going to turn into Eagle Point at that light. And see, I don't know which way he's coming from, because if he's coming from 280 and the school is on the left, he's going to take a left right before he get to the school. If you're coming from 65, he's going to take a right at that light and go up the hill, and you'll see right in the middle of the hill. You can just tell him to give me a call. And that way I can, huh?
Okay. He was just trying to give me a hard time, so I was
Yeah,
just...
tell him to give me a call. They dropped the dumpster off, so I don't, yeah, tell him to give me a call. I can direct him to it, because I need to know where he is before I start telling him where you need to go.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. I apologize. I didn't even put y'all on. I didn't even put you on mute. Somebody was looking for a dumpster. And I tell you something else. When you guys get in this class, you'll realize that when you are supervising subcontractors, it's almost like being a professional daycare service. I mean, you actually, these guys do not want to do anything extra. They're going to try everything they can do to do the least amount of work that they can. They don't want to think. They want you to think for them. You guys have learned that too as well. But once again, we're on these knives, these blades. Let's make sure I'm not on mute. You're going to use them with great care. Self-retracting models may be required on the job. Now, this self-retracting one is you just push it out when it's time to use. These other one, the folding kind, I mean, the folding is okay, but this carpet kind, that blade is always out. Okay. All right, here we got earth tools. So you got your shovels. You got square shovels can hold a lot of materials, but they do not dig well. So you got this square shovel at the bottom. This is mainly used for when you're cleaning up stuff somewhere, you know, maybe like off the sidewalk. But if you're trying to dig, you got to use this round or this spade cut shovel. All right. It says the square shovels can hold a lot of materials, but they do not dig well. They are best used for loose material collection, such as sand and gravel. That's right. Be aware of the load. Wet materials is heavier. All right. Here's another guy. This right here, these are picks. It's a pickaxe. A pick is a good choice to break up rock. So if you got to dig somewhere and there's a lot of rock somewhere, you want to use this pickaxe to get it broken up so you can dig in there and get it. So one of them, you got the pick. And typically the one I'm used to seeing is where you have a pick on one side and you have a mattock on the other side. That's the ones that I used to use. And a lot of times you're going to use this on the foundation or, you know, right now my brick guys, I got some brick masons out on site. They want to use it while they bricking to keep that mortar from off around the house. Okay. Questions so far? All right, these are chain falls. Chain falls are not fast. And you guys have probably seen these right here where somebody's trying to jack an engine out of a car. You use a chain fall. I mean, you're going to pull them a lot, but it picks up a heck of a lot of weight. So if you got to pick up a heck of a lot of weight, you're going to use your chain fall. And I don't recall ever seeing like a place in construction where I really need something like this right here, unless I'm doing something like trying to pick up a HVAC unit and put that thing on top of a roof. Now, the only time and I wouldn't use a chain fall for that. It'd take too long to jack that thing up there. You probably want to use a one of them lifts that they have to pick them up. Here's what you call a come along. So you have a cable come along, you have a ratchet chain come along. And those are used to pull things to you. They're mostly used in a cable come alongs are not typically on vertical for picking something up. It's really for pulling something horizontally. Okay. You won't see this right here in the construction site. I don't think you guys ever see any of these right here on construction. But now you will see clamps. You will see the C clamp. Now you can actually use that in auto mechanic. I usually use them to change brakes to push the caliper back in there. And then a lot of times these clamps are going to be used to make the wood, whatever you got to cut is to stabilize it so you can cut it. Because you don't want to be cutting some of this slip. If it slipped, you're going to hurt yourself. So you got your locking clamp. You have your bar clamp. This is quick setting. Now this right here, the hand screw clamp, they are mainly used if you got a wood shop, which we do have a wood shop over on Lawson. It applies pressure equally. And that's the good thing about it. So if you look at this right here, wood clamp, you can see my little arrow here, you can apply pressure on the back and pressure on the teeth too, on the jaws as well. That's the good thing. It applies pressure equally. So that's a good thing about those. And a lot of time, when you don't want to mess up your wood, okay, you're going to put something like a pad or something. I usually use another piece of wood on each side of those clamps, because I don't want to, especially if I got a table or something, I don't want to damage. So I put a piece of wood or something between those clamps so it won't mess it up. Piece of rubber is also good to use as well. But it says placing pads and wood blocks. It says a block of soft wood or a heavy rubber pad is often needed with the clamp to prevent damage to the workpiece surface. This is especially important when working with exotic wood. So if you're working with a hickory or something like that, you don't want to mess that stuff up. We're gonna wrap this hand tool up. Once again, these are the various parts of this tool. You got your T-handle, got your shoe here. In a lot of cases, these shoes always fall off. Just about every pair I had, that shoe thing fell off. This right here is a sliding jaw. And then you have your locking jaw, and you probably never use one of these right here. This is like a let me see what kind they call this right here. This is a pipe clamp. So unless you're going into plumbing, you won't use that particular clamp. Okay. Once again, we talked about the file. Remember, you got the belly, you got the heel, the length, the handle. Make sure you always wear your gloves. Oh, actually, it was asking questions. Right? But what are these? It's actually asking you guys what they are. Now, what is this right here? Hopefully, you guys remember this right here. This is a back saw. Remember the back saw? You remember what we're going to use this for? That's going to be used in a miter box. I have to demonstrate that miter box for you. This right here is what you call a hacksaw, mainly used for cutting metal. Okay, guys, are there any questions so far? Any questions? I think this is about all I wanted to pretty much do today. Let me stop sharing. Questions? And I'll be in contact with you guys. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you guys out an email once I get my quizzes and stuff posted. I have one up there this week, and so I want you guys to kind of review it, go over it, and I'm gonna have to give you details on how I want you guys to submit it right now, since I can't do everything digitally right now. If you guys don't have any more questions, I will post this right here online as well. You guys have a good day.